Anne Graham Lotz is the daughter of evangelist Billy Graham and the award-winning author of 9 books. Her latest is called The Magnificent Obsession. And Anne Graham Lotz is with us in the studio this morning. Good morning. Good to see you.
So glad to be with you. Thank you.
First things first, how's your dad?
Oh, I think he's doing very well. I was with him a couple of weeks ago, and he has a hard time hearing, hard time seeing, hard time walking, but he'll be 91 this fall.
91
And
this
so he
fall.
deserves a few of those issues. He's earned them. But his mind is clear, and he's very gentle and loving, and watches TV.
Thank you. I know he watches this show from time to time.
He does.
Thank you for that update. It's very interesting because you've written this book and it's based on about Abraham.
That's right.
Why him? Of all the characters in the Bible, why Abraham?
Because he sort of changed my life. He became my mentor 33 years ago, and I was studying Genesis and read his story, and it's like he walked off the pages of the Bible into my life. And one reason is because he had a stirring in his heart, I think, yearning for something more than what he was experiencing. And God said, Abraham, if you'll follow me in a life of obedient faith, I'll bless you. And so he packed up and left everything to follow God in a life of faith. At the end of his life, he knew God in a relationship God described as a friendship. And I thought right then and there, I want that to be my life's goal.
Here's my question for you. As the daughter of Billy Graham, that's got to be a blessing in one sense. In another sense, was it also very much a challenge for you? I wouldn't say it a curse, but was it that much more difficult?
Well, I think it balanced. There were blessings and there were challenges, and they balanced each other. But one of the things I had to come to grips with was the fact that I had to have a relationship with God for myself. I couldn't ride in on my mother or father's coattails, that I needed to establish a relationship with God. And that's what Abraham did. In fact, he rejected religion. He's the patriarch, considered the patriarch of Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. But he wasn't a religious man. He rejected religion to pursue a personal relationship with God. And that's what I want.
He was also, God kept saying, I'm the salt, the lights and the stars in the sky, and you are going to be the seed of all of this nation and everything else. His wife can't have a kid. It's complicated. This is not an easy story.
Well, it's wonderful because he took God at his word when there was no reason except that God had given him his word. And so he just put his faith down in God's word, his promise to him, and in the end, of course, God fulfilled his promise, but after Abraham's lifetime, so much of it was fulfilled then. So at the end of his life, he didn't have really what God promised him, except he had a relationship with God. And so today when I think of people when they're stripped of everything, maybe they've lost a job or they're relocating, that Abraham discovered God was everywhere he went, and that God saw him through, that God is the God of second chances. He failed. I love his stories of failure and making a mess of things. He was not perfect. But he went back to God and would pick up and go forward.
And of course, the most challenging story of all is when he asks him you have to sacrifice your own son.
And God didn't want his son dead on the altar. God wanted Abraham's willingness to give him everything. And so that Isaac was his most precious possession.
And is that you think that's the answer to the question of faith, of whether or not you believe is your willingness to just give it all over?
I think that is a good part of it. But I think at that point, Abraham had been pursuing God for 40 years. So he had developed a relationship with God. He trusted God. And so you trust the character of God, that he's good. And the New Testament tells us that he believed if he sacrificed Isaac, God would raise him from the dead. That's how sure he was of God's word. So he grew in his relationship with God, so he knew God and could give him everything. And I want to grow in my relationship with God like that too. So I know him and can trust him with everything.
There you go. Anne Graham Lotz, a pleasure to see you. Thanks for stopping
Harry,
by
thank
this
you
morning.
so
I do
much.
appreciate it.